Hey everyone, it's Mary Abundance, and we're going into the next part of me reacting to myself. Pretty much 1 year ago, it was, well, a little bit more. It was a live stream in December 2020, and we're just going to continue right where we left off in the last video. If you haven't watched that yet, make sure to watch it, and yeah, let's get into it.
Problem ist in den meisten Fällen nicht
The
primär,
problem in the
also
most
an allererster
cases
Stelle oder
is not in the first place
vom Ursprung her mental,
mentally,
sondern
but
körperlich. Das
physically.
Essen. Also,
So that was me instantly translating my German video. So yes, I still stand by that. That was like the biggest revolutionary mindset shift in how I went about recovering from anorexia. Because, so I think that all of the aspects, like also society and stuff, of course, they can mess with your mind. But the thing is, everyone in the world has to deal with society. And it's not a mental illness when a human tries to fit in a way, and or tries to be part of the culture. And so to say that only the beauty ideals, like the beauty standards, are to blame for eating disorders, it's just too lame in my humble opinion. And so I still think that an energy deficit, and that's my whole new conviction, that an energy deficit was what made my anorexia genetics switch on. Because it's one thing that, you know, when I personally was 13, that you want to be fitting into your peer group, and there's this kind of peer pressure, but I never had this kind of moment where I said, well, I'm just gonna look like a model now. And like I was never intending to lose weight, and especially not as much weight. So for me, yes, it was kind of, when I saw other people, like other girls in that time, you know, of course it has to do with beauty standards. That's what I'm going about. Of course it has to do with like the standards that in society, that the society kind of mediates on you, that women eat less than men, and you know, it's right for a woman to eat a lot of salad and stuff. Of course, like unconsciously, every kind of girl comes into contact with that. But so the thing is, I was also a very active girl, and I know now that there must have been a point where I was in an energy deficit, and it just happened. That's where my genetics were activated, and from then on it was a downhill spiral for me. I just couldn't change anything about it anymore. Like I wanted, but I wasn't able to. I wanted it with all my heart, but the fears and the genetics, like all of the mental stuff that then arises, took place too much already. So I was in that anorexia trap. And I think from then on, of course, it is a mental illness also. But I'm convinced that the cause per se is not mental, but physical. The thing is, I am saying this here, but me reacting now is telling you that I was interpreting this kind of theory in a different way, and I don't stand behind that anymore, because I'm going to say here now, you will see that I say it's physical because it has to do with the food that we're eating, the bad food that is not natural enough. And well, I'm gonna let my former self speak for itself.
Das Essen, das wir essen, macht uns unsicher darüber. Körperlich.
It's physical.
Das Essen, also
The food
das Essen, das wir essen,
that we
macht
eat
uns unsicher darüber,
makes us unsure
weil
about
es uns oft nicht gut tut.
our body
Also,
image because it often doesn't do us well.
Wir leben in einer Umwelt,
We live in an
einer sehr
environment,
unnatürlichen Umwelt, ja.
in a
Und
very unnatural
ihr wisst
environment.
alle, und das ist nicht meine persönliche Meinung, sondern, also nicht nur meine persönliche Meinung, sondern auch die Meinung.
So I'm saying, I forgot translating, that I'm of the opinion that, and it's not only my personal opinion, but of some experts also,
Ärzten,
from some
darauf gehe ich
doctors
dann in meinem E-Book näher ein,
and psychologists,
dass
that many,
also dass Essstörungen oft eben dadurch
eating
entstehen,
disorders
weil man sich eben
are
unsicher
caused
ist. Und ja, ist natürlich immer auch ein
because
bisschen
people are insecure.
mental,
And of course, it's
aber das
also
Ding
always a
ist,
little bit mentally.
wenn wir nicht wenn wir nicht so einer unnatürlichen
But if we
Umwelt
didn't have
ausgesetzt
such
wären
an
und
unnatural environment,
es nicht so unnormal für die Gesellschaft wäre,
and it wouldn't be so unnormal
das
for
Essen, was wir eigentlich in der
society to
Natur
eat
essen
what we would
würden,
normally
wenn
eat in
wir nicht
nature,
überall wirklich Dinge uns
if we
herum
didn't
hätten,
have
die
things
eigentlich in der Natur
everywhere
nicht zu finden sein
that are
würden,
not to be found
dann
in
kämen
nature,
viele Leute auch gar nicht an den Punkt, wo
then many
sie
people
sich nicht mehr wohlfühlen in ihrem
wouldn't
Körper.
come to the point where they don't feel comfortable in their bodies anymore.
Argumentieren, naja, aber viele Leute auch gar nicht an den Punkt.
And so that is a red flag, because you can hear my eating disorder speak here. This all is based, what I'm saying here is based upon my fear of all of these things, all of the suboptimal, disease-causing, unnatural foods. And my eating disorder blamed it on those unnatural foods and way of living that people, because they eat too much of those, gain weight and become sick, and that's why they don't feel comfortable anymore. And that is why, so I'm arguing that is why eating disorders come into being. And now when I hear this, that I thought this, I'm like, wow. Because I don't believe this to be true anymore. And it's because I read so many resources that actually were able to take away all of my fears and to open myself to actually attack these fears of my eating disorder to the possibility that these beliefs might not be true. And so this is all based upon my assumption back then that when people eat these unnatural foods, that they just automatically gain weight and become sick. And that is not the case. I know so many healthy people who eat all of these foods, and they have always been kind of more like healthier than I was. And yes, I mean, you know, it's not about eating fast food like 24/7 for all of your life. Yes, that can be normal and even necessary in the recovery and especially in the extreme hunger. But I mean, like from birth to death, like we're talking about some normal way of eating where you also have some kind of, you know, more natural foods, if you will. But what many people don't know is that all of these unnatural foods are actually also made out of these natural foods. Every little chemical in those ultra-processed foods has once been a component, a part of a natural food.
Das kann man natürlich argumentieren.
So now you can argue,
naja, aber
well,
der Ursprung liegt doch darin, dass man mental
but
eigentlich überhaupt kein
the
Problem damit
cause,
haben sollte.
the cause is in the fact that no one should have a problem with gaining weight.
Dass man gar nicht erst versucht, schlank zu sein oder sowas.
No one,
Aber
one could argue that one should never even try to be slim.
man einfach, dass der Körper von Natur aus gesund?
Actually, that is a point for next video, I think, because it's a whole new topic and I'm going to go into that in next video. And give this a thumbs up if this helps you, me reacting to myself, to my old beliefs, so you also kind of understand more and more like what the difference is now, like how and why my mindset shifted. Give it a thumbs up or a thumbs down, whatever you want, but give me something, and I'll see you next video. Bye.